You know, it's funny how we change, like, how we dress or talk, even our whole vibe, depending on where we are, who we're with, right?
Right.
But imagine if fitting in meant, like, constantly acting, hiding parts of yourself.
Hmm.
That's what we're digging into today.
Yeah. With these articles on autistic women, especially this idea of high masking.
And you shared a whole stack on this.
Yeah, and the thing is, masking, it's not about lying, you know?
Right, not like intentionally trying to trick people.
It's more. And it's almost like you're always performing, but you might not even realize you're doing it.
Whoa. So, for someone who's hearing high masking for the first time, how would we explain that?
So high masking is when someone's trying to hide, often without realizing it, their autistic traits.
The fit in?
To fit in, exactly. Like mimicking how others act, not doing things like stimming,
Which are,
those little movements or sounds some people do that could be self-soothing.
yeah.
Basically, it's keeping up this normal act, but
Mhm.
honestly, it's exhausting.
Just hearing you describe it. And our sources really focus on this for women, autistic women specifically. What makes it so common for them?
And that's key. It's like, what do we expect from women? Be agreeable, don't rock the boat. Right.
Go with the flow.
Exactly. Now add that to wanting to be accepted, which we all feel. But if you're autistic, facing a world that often doesn't get it,
You feel like you have an up mask to get by.
it's almost like the pressure is tenfold.
And it's not just wanting to be liked, right? One article had a woman saying she masked because she was afraid of how people would treat her if they knew.
The stigma.
That's a powerful motivator, that fear.
It is, and sadly, this masking has another effect. Misdiagnosis.
Because if you're hiding who you are,
Your true self's buried.
Yeah.
So those traits, they get missed, and then wrong labels.
we're talking more than a little mix-up here. The articles talked about a big one, mistaking autism in women for bipolar disorder. What's the connection?
At first glance, there are overlaps.
Right.
Both can mean mood changes, trouble with social stuff, but there's a huge E difference.
Which is,
One article told this story. This woman, she'd been diagnosed bipolar, but her mood swings, they weren't those extreme highs and lows.
not like the typical description.
Her moods were linked to what was around her. You know, sensory overload, tough social situations, reacting to the world, not some internal.
cycle.
Exactly. It took years for her to get the correct diagnosis. Autism.
So it looked like bipolar, but the cause was totally different. That distinction's got to be crucial for getting the right help then.
100%. This isn't just a word on paper, an accurate diagnosis. That's the starting point for everything. Therapy, support, even just understanding yourself.
Otherwise, it's years, decades even, of feeling off, not knowing why.
Exactly.
And your sources, they don't hold back on the misdiagnosis stats for women. One study said autistic women are diagnosed at a rate of 1 to 3 compared to men.
Wow.
That's a huge gap. Makes you wonder how much of that's because of this masking.
It's a question researchers are really digging into now. If women are flying under the radar because they're so good at blending in.
It makes sense they'd be underdiagnosed.
Exactly.
It's kind of heartbreaking, you know?
It really is.
All these women struggling, feeling alone, and nobody's catching it.
And that study found, on average, women get diagnosed a full decade later than men.
10 years.
Think about that. 10 years of maybe feeling like you're going crazy, not getting the right help.
Like a whole lost generation who could have had support, resources, if only people knew. But looking back doesn't change things, does it?
Yep.
So what do we do with this? What are listeners supposed to take away?
Knowing is half the battle, right?
Yeah.
And we need more awareness, especially for clinicians.
They're the ones who need to recognize it, right?
Exactly. They're on the front lines. It shouldn't be on autistic women to fight for a diagnosis.
It makes you think finding a doctor who really listens,
Huge.
someone who gets it, who's up to date on all this, that's got to be crucial.
It is, and you know what else struck me in these articles? Support groups.
Yeah.
For women who've spent years masking, feeling different, finding others who get it.
Yeah.
Huge.
That sense of belonging, like you're not alone.
Exactly. That shared experience, it's validating, empowering. It can give you the strength to, take the mask off. At least sometimes. Just be yourself.
Isn't that what we all want? To not have to pretend?
Exactly.
But creating a world where people don't have to mask, where being different is okay, that's a big ask.
It takes time.
It does, an effort from all of us, right?
Absolutely. That's why advocating for better diagnosis criteria that are more inclusive.
That reflect the reality.
Yes. And ditching those old stereotypes about autism being a male thing.
Because it's not, and pretending it is hurts everyone. It's like that quote, your silence will not protect you. We can't stay quiet on this.
You got it.
Yeah.
Speaking up, sharing these stories, pushing for change. That's how we make a world where everyone's seen, heard, valued for who they are.
For who they are, exactly. Feels like we're talking about a huge shift.
Yeah,
Like changing how we see neurodiversity,
it is, totally.
realizing there's no one right way to be. And those differences, those unique views, we should be celebrating them.
Celebrating, not hiding. I love that.
Yeah.
Imagine a world where no one feels they have to mask, where everyone can just be themselves, no judgment.
That's the dream, right? And it starts with these conversations,
Yep.
education, empathy. Going through these articles is this thought I keep coming back to. Kind of philosophical, but
Go for it.
we've talked about how masking hurts the person, right? The exhaustion, wrong diagnoses, never feeling truly seen.
Right.
But what about us? What about what we lose when people are hiding who they are?
Whoa.
If, especially women, are always adapting, holding back, what does that do to society? What are we missing?
You just blew my mind a little, honestly. It's true. We never think about that. If we're pushing everyone to fit in, be normal, all those different views, ideas, talents,
yeah.
we're basically saying your true self. We don't want it,
Uh,
which is messed up. And it holds us back as a whole.
it's like we're only getting a fraction of what people can offer. The rest is hidden behind that mask.
And who knows what we've missed because of it, right? What could we have achieved if everyone felt safe being themselves? It's kind of scary to think about.
It is, but it's hopeful too,
How so?
because it means we can change it.
Oh, I see what you mean.
It starts with us, each of us, questioning our own biases, learning, fighting for a world that's more understanding.
Yes, to all of that.
Yeah.
If even a little bit of that sparked for you listening, that desire to learn, to do better, to be more welcoming, then we've done something good here.
This is what I love, these deep dives that leave us with more questions than answers
My best kind.
and feeling like we got to do something.
Exactly.
So thank you for joining us in this often hidden world of high masking, especially for autistic women.
Thank you.
We hope you've gotten a new perspective and that you keep learning, keep talking about this.
Absolutely.
Till next time, keep asking those questions, keep seeking understanding, keep diving deep.
Onward.